first thing, I'm going to create a new app. You know how to do it. So, demo database 25. Okay, the name of the app I'm going to create. Okay. Well, first, I'm going to show you with my webcam an example of, well, we have an app that we want to build today. So let me stop sharing and share my webcam. One moment. Because, well, with databases, you can create a huge variety of apps. Okay. So it's up to you. I mean, I guess you already know what a database is. Basically, a database is a file where you can store a lot of information, and this information can be really, will always have a structure. Okay, so you will add a list of items, and each item will have some information, and you will define the structure of each item. Okay, so for example, a typical example is like, for example, creating an app with you know, a guide of restaurants. So that's what we are going to do today. Okay, so let me show you this app. This one here. Oh, well, basically, this one is in Spanish. Sorry. But basically, we are going to have a list of restaurants, and for each restaurant, we will have some information, and we will have different ways to show that information. Okay. So basically, this is the app we are going to create today. Okay, so let me share my screen again. By the way, normally when we offer a webinar, some of my colleagues are here as well, like Daniel or Andrea. But today I'm here alone. So if you have some questions, you can always use the chat, but I'm not sure if I will be able to read all of your questions because I will be using Mobincube. But well, the thing is that we are only 10 people, so I guess it can be easier. Okay? Because 2 hours ago, we had this webinar in Spanish and there was like 100 people, so it was a bit complicated to follow the chat. Okay? And after the webinar, we will have time for questions. Okay. So first thing, I have my app. I'm not going to spend too much time in setting all the features. Okay, so first I'm going to go to edition mode. I mean, you could create an app using databases. For example, if you want to create an app with cooking receipts, or you want to create a leisure guide for a city, or maybe you want to create a database of medicines. I mean, you can create any kind of apps with databases. Okay, so this functionality in Mobincube is really powerful if you compare to other app builders. I think this is one of our key functionalities in Mobincube, just because you can do a lot of things with the databases, and we offer a really high flexibility to show the information in your database. Okay, so since this app is new, there's only one screen created by default. And well, I guess you already know how to create an option list, a detailed action image. Okay, but I guess you didn't try ever the data view functionality. Okay, so if I create a screen in Mobincube in my app, I can select this data view. This is for having a screen using databases. Okay, so I'm going to select data view. And when you create a new screen with this type, data view, first thing you have to do is select where your data is stored. I mean, you have to use a database in your database screen. So you have to select first which database you want to use. Okay, you have 3 options here. You can create a new database, you can use an existing database, or you can use a database that is stored in your server. Okay, you can have a server in the internet, and then just have your database there so that your app can access your database remotely. Okay. So, well, the second option, the existing database, doesn't really make sense when it's your first database. I mean, you can create several databases in your app. Okay, they run independently, but one database can be used in different screens. Okay, so at the moment we haven't created any database, so I cannot select any database here. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is creating a new database. Okay, so if I select new database, I have some things here. First, I have a switch that says cloud database, and then I have some place here to define the structure of my database. Okay, basically, I have to define the name of my database. For example, I can use restaurants. And then I have to tell Mobincube how many fields I want in my database. A field is each of the columns where you are going to store information. Okay, for example, it's for your restaurant. Imagine that you want to store the name of the restaurant, the address, the location, I mean GPS location or pictures or things like that. Okay, so you can create different fields. Okay, so for this example, I already have this database created in Excel. Okay, so it will be easier for me because I'm going to show you how to export from Excel to, well, or any other data sheet software to Mobincube. Okay, so I have some information. So first thing I have to do is creating the structure. Okay, so I'm going to use 8 fields in order to match this database I already have. So first thing is the name of the restaurant. So I have my 8 fields here. I have to enter a name for each field. And also for each field, I have to select the data type that I want to store in that field. Okay, and just spread this selector. Okay, let me check the question. It's not database, but table to create database. Create table and then add fields. Yeah, okay. You can use databases in Mobincube. Sure, they are like simple database, single table databases. Okay. I guess in the future we will allow to have different tables and set connections. But in this moment, you can use simple databases. Okay. Normally that's enough for most of the apps you want to create with Mobincube. Okay. So regarding types of data, you can enter text, you can enter numbers, you can enter dates, locations, you can enter images that are stored in my image manager, or you can use date sets. That's like a set of dates. For example, if you create an app for having some concerts, and imagine that some concerts are played in different dates, then instead of having different records for all these dates, you can just create one record for one concert and then use the date set field so that you can store in just one place all the different dates for when this concert will take place. Okay. So also we can use remote images. That's images that are stored outside our app. Okay, so we will store only the URL of that image. Okay, so for the name we are going to use text, then the address, text again, and the location, GPS, type location, then for the phone number. It can be a text or a number. I'm going to use text. Then the type of restaurant, text again, and picture 1 will be a remote image. Picture 2 it will be again a remote image. Picture 3 remote image. Okay, so now I define the structure of my database. So I'm ready. I can click on accept. Can remote images be in Flickr, for instance? Yes, they can. If you have an URL that points to that picture, then you can just use it in Mobincube, of course. I mean, all the content that you want to use remotely in your app, it can be stored, for example, in our cloud software. You know, we provide a tool, a CMS, so that you can manage remote content. It comes with a standard plan, $9.99 per month. Okay, but if you want to use remote content without any premium feature in Mobincube, you can store your content, your pictures, your databases, your text. You can store them in your Dropbox or anywhere or in your server. So yeah, Instagram, I guess if I'm not sure if there's a link to your picture, a URL, then you can also, I mean, if a picture is in the internet and you have a URL that points to that picture, you can always use that in Mobincube. Okay. Well, you can use it in a detail screen or you can use it in a database. Okay. Okay, so now my database is created. So now I have three different things here. See? Or I already selected my data source. Then I have two new blocks here. I have this first block called filters and order, and then I have this data visualization block. Okay. So, well, the first thing, the first block, data source, you can always come back to this block if you want to edit the content in your database. Okay, so you press here on edit, and it will open this data sheet format dialog. Okay, so in the top part, you have the name of the database, and then you have some extra options. Okay, you have this ratchet here. If you click on it, you have three options. You can import data, you can export data, or you can change hours. This is in case you have some problems using dates, because, you know, using dates is always a pain in the ass, because it depends on the time of the server, or also it can depend on the time on your users' devices and things like that. So if you enter some dates and they are wrong, I mean, you can like enter a delay, a number of hours, so that you can adjust the time. Importing data is in case, for example, I have this. We will do it later. Okay, I have this database in Excel, so I will explain how to take all this information and bring it to my app in Mobincube. And export data is when you have all the information here, or maybe not all the information, but if you have your database structure and you want to use a remote database in your server, first thing, you have to create your database in Mobincube and then export the database into an SQLite file, and then you will get this file, so you can upload this file to your server, and then you will have a URL to that file. We will see that later as well. Okay. So another thing, then we have here the vision area. You have all the names of the fields here, and for each field we have the name of the field. We have an icon that tells us the type of information is stored in that field. For example, a text, a location, a picture. Okay, and then we have some extra options. We can rename a field. We can change the type of data we want to store in that field, or we can delete a field. Okay. There's another thing. And use the Windows Azure as data source. Well, the cloud database is for using a database that's stored in our cloud software. Okay, you know, as I was telling you, we offer a software to manage remote content. Okay, so if you create a database, you can always press here, and then this database will be moved to the cloud. I mean, our cloud that you can use always. Okay. If you want to use in Azure or Amazon or any other, you know, web service, you can do that. I mean, we'll explain it later. Okay, how to export the file and how to use it. Okay, then, well, from this dialog, you can start entering data. For example, you can start the name here. Yes, you will be able to see this webinar in our YouTube channel. We will publish it, I guess, next week. It's youtube.com/Mobincube. Okay, so it's quite easy. Okay, you have all our webinars there, so in case you want to check. Okay, and I guess next week we will publish it. It's been recorded, so we will publish it. In case, well, of course, if there's no any problem with this meeting tool, then we will publish it. And we also will. Okay, so we can start like adding information. For example, let's enter the name of a restaurant. You can enter the address. For example, location. You can click here. You will be able to add a location. Example, you can close, and if you close this dialog, you'll see the GPS coordinate. You can enter a phone number. You can enter a type, for example, hamburgers, or you can enter pictures. That's a URL. This field is a remote image, so you can enter a URL. Again, it can be Flickr, it can be Instagram. I mean, it can be on the internet. Okay. So yeah, you can enter all the records that you want. For example, you can keep entering information manually here, and well, you can always select a record and make duplicate or delete one record. Okay, and here in the bottom right, you can also see how many records you have, or you can navigate directly through a record. Okay, so let's see now how to import data. Imagine that, well, you know that Mobincube is an online tool, so any change you do here, it will be sent to our server, and so it can be sometimes a bit slow. So sometimes it's faster if you enter all the information in Excel, for example, and well, if you want to use Excel or OpenOffice or any other data sheet software, you will have a first row with the headers of the titles of the fields. It's only for your reference. I mean, they don't need to be exactly the same names as in Mobincube. And the thing is that after entering all the information, you have to save it as a CSV file. Okay, if you want to import from Mobincube, you cannot use the Excel format. You have to use CSV. Okay, and split it with commas, for example. Okay, so you see now this is my file. If I open it with the WordPad, you see that CSV files are plain text files. So each row is a record. The first row is the titles, and then I have all the information separated with commas. Okay. So now Mobincube, I'm going to delete the previous record. Right. You can duplicate. Delete. Okay, so now I'm going to import the data from that CSV file. Okay, so I'm going to click on import. I'm going to select the import, the separator, it's a comma. Too fast. And then I'm going to select the file, this one. So after selecting, it's starting importing all the data. Okay, 6 rows. Okay, so of course I have 7 rows, but the first one is the titles, so it imports it, the 6 restaurants. Okay, sometimes there are errors when you try to import some files. Normally these errors are when you use the wrong number format. For example, with in some countries we use the comma for separating decimals, or in other countries you use a dot. Okay, so if there's an error, you should check that things. Okay, but okay, now I have all my information here, and now imagine that I want to add more columns. For example, Chinese. Yeah, I think you can import Chinese characters as well. Okay, so the only thing you cannot import is the image data type. I mean, you can import remote images if you have a URL here, but you cannot use offline pictures if you want to import from Excel. Okay, so you can do all the imports first, and then you can add a new column. Just click on this add button. I'm going to rename, and I'm going to change the data type to image. Okay, so now if you want to enter information, you can just click on this icon. I don't have any picture in my app yet, so I'm going to upload the info and pictures. And so I'm going to start selecting pictures. Second one, super duper. And one is Japanese. Third one is Chinese. Italian. And click. Okay, so I have my information here. I can always go back and edit and add more records. I can import from Excel, but then I can add more records manually here. I mean, it's up to you. Okay, so now that's my information. Another thing you can do is adding filters or the data visualization. Okay, so why do we have filters? Okay, because the thing is that you can have a big database for your app, but then you want to have different screens in your app and only show a subset of records in each different app, in each different screen, sorry. Okay, so for example, imagine that you have a database with like 10,000 restaurants, but you want to have a screen in your app that only shows, for example, Italian restaurants. Okay, so you can add a filter in this screen and pick only like Italian restaurants. Okay, and then the last block, data visualization, is where you design how you want your app to show all the data. Okay, we are going to have like views inside your screen. You are going to have like sub-screens. Okay, like we call them views. Okay, so you can have different views inside your screen, so you can like browse from one view to another view. Okay, this is what we are going to basically do. So yeah, let's just start explaining data views, and then we will go back to the filters. Okay, so data views, we can add like 6 different types of views. Okay, depending on how we want to show the information. Okay, for example, the first one is called list view. This is for showing all the records of your database in the same screen. Okay, one below another. Okay, if you have 10 restaurants, then all 10 restaurants will be shown in the screen. Okay, then we have the detailed view. This is for showing only one record in your screen, so you can add all the information that you want in your screen. Okay, well, if you have a database, there will be always a selected item. Okay, so the detailed view will always show the selected item. And we have the calendar view. This is, imagine that you have a database where one field contains a date. Then you can place all your items in a calendar and using that field. And for example, imagine that the 30th of September, there are some records in the database that contain that date in the field. So under the 13th of September, you will see like a number of records available. So you press on them and you will get a list of those records. Okay. Then you have the gallery view. This is for just showing a carousel of pictures. Imagine that you have a picture in your database. So all the items have a picture. You can just like create a gallery for showing all those pictures. We will see that. Then we have the map view. Okay, imagine that in your database, in this example, we have it. We have a field that stores the GPS location of each restaurant. So we can create a view, a Google Maps view, and then place all the items in my database in the map. Okay. And then we have the augmented reality view. Okay. I guess you are familiar with AR. This is for using the camera of your device, and you can like point to the horizon. Okay, and move your camera. So you will, using the GPS location of each item in your database, you will be able to see where every record is located. Okay, we will do that later. Okay, so we are going to start adding all these views. We're going to add a list view and a detail view, a gallery view, a map view, and a AR view. Okay, I cannot add the calendar view because I don't have any date field in my database. Okay, but you can try it at home. Okay, so now I have all my views. So now I have to design those views. Okay, so I'm going to start with a list. So you just press on a view. Check the options. Then filters user platforms for that with a search capability. Yes, we will see that. I mean, you can add search boxes. It's quite simple, but you can use it. We will do it later. Okay. Okay. So now I'm editing my list. So you know this way of editing or designing in Mobincube is having a list of elements here and drag them to the view on the left. Okay, but if you move the mouse over, you see that now we have these pink elements, and if you see, we have all the default elements that we always have when we create detail views or bars or things like that. And now we have some pink elements. They represent fields in the database. Okay, so for example, in the list, since we are going to have a list of items of our database, if we add, for example, the name, we only add the name, you can see a representation of the list. So I have in white the default line, and then you have a simulation of all the other rows. Okay, so it will show all my items, only the name, because I only use the name of the field called name. Okay, so it will show the content in that field for each record that I have in my database. Okay, so let me make it a bit nicer. Let me remove this element. I'm going to add a table. And for example, let's use 25% cell and then 75 cell. Okay, now I'm going to add a photo of the restaurant using this pink element that represents the field containing the photo. I'm going to add it to the cell. I cannot edit anything. Well, I can add actions, or I can change the size of any other element. But in this case, I don't need any action. Okay, and now I'm going to add the name of our restaurant in the right cell. I can change the size. can change the font name, and I can change the alignment. Okay, so I have created like a button style, okay, with a picture and the name. Okay, and for this table, I'm going to use, for example, a gradient background. Okay, let's images. Okay, I have to close the door. There's some people up there. Okay, so now I have my how I want to represent a report in this list, only showing the photo and the name. Okay, so what can I do now? I want my app to change to another view each time my users click on one record. Okay, if they click on one record, that record will become the active record. So I can add an action to move to another view. If I select all the table, I can add an action to the table, and using this new action here called Flow to View, I can use it and then select what view I want as a destination. So I'm going to select the detail view. Of course, you can have more than one view of each type. I can have detail 1 and detail 2 in case I want to show different type of information for my records. Okay, so now I'm done with the list. I'm going to use the detail. Okay, and basically now in the detail view, I will only show one report. So I can use the detail view to show more information of one record. Okay, so for example, I'm going to, let me use a table. I really like tables. Okay, they allow me to create nicer designs. I'm going to use this trick so that I can have a margin in all my elements. So I'm going to add the name, for example, of the restaurant in like a big font. Then I'm going to, let me use the same format as the example. I'm going to add a separator line. I'm going to add, for example, the type of restaurant and a tiny font. Now I'm going to add some extra space. Now I'm going to, for example, two separators. It's okay. I'm going to add another table here inside, and I'm going to use to show you how to add pictures that are not fields in the database. You can add here a fixed image. For example, this one. So I can point this image and tell my app to change view whenever people click on this icon. So I can go to view map, for example, and in the other cell I'm going to enter the address. Okay. Well, I'm doing this fast because I guess you are familiar with this way of adding elements in Mobincube. As I told you, this webinar is for medium or advanced users. This is not the basics of it. Now I'm going to add a telephone picture. Okay, and now I'm going to do something interesting. I want my app to make a phone call anytime they click on this icon. I'm going to use the action called call. Okay. So what phone number should my app call? Okay. So since the telephone number of each restaurant is stored in the database, there's a field called phone, but I can use among parentheses, I can use the name of the field. Okay, so if I use this parentheses and the name of the field that contains the telephone number, then my app will automatically change. It will get the telephone number and use it in the action. Okay, I can really use this feature. For example, if I imagine that I have a field in my database that contains a URL or a link to a YouTube video, so I could use the action open browser and then use the name of the field among parentheses. Okay, so I could do that. So now I'm going to enter the phone number here. Okay. And what else? Now I'm going to add some pictures. Some space between. Now I'm going to add the photo, offline photo, big, and a separator, and now a table to show the offline pictures. 30, 5, 30, 5, 30. And I'm going to use picture 1 here. These are remote pictures. Okay. Picture 2 here, and picture 3 here. Okay, so now I have my detailed view. Okay. Okay, next thing I can create is the gallery view. This is quite simple because I only have to select 2 things. First thing is the name of the field that contains the picture. Okay, I can have like different fields containing pictures. So for this view, I will select which field. Okay, so in this case, I only have one, so it's only photo. And I can also add an action. Okay, anytime a user clicks on the picture, I can set an action. For example, I can make the app to make a phone call, or I can open the URL in the browser. Imagine that I want to create an app for downloading like image wallpapers. I can have a database with all these wallpapers, then have a gallery, and anytime they click on one, open the browser pointing to this picture in high resolution, so they can then download it. Okay, that's only an example. Okay, but in this case, I'm not going to add an action. I'm done with the gallery view. Okay, then the map. I'm going to design the map. So for the map, what I can design here is the white dialog that appears anytime someone clicks on a marker on the map. Okay, so I'm going to, for example, add another table. Again, I will show a photo on the left. I can maybe add the name. I could create like really complex dialogues. I could like add different icons with different actions. For example, a telephone icon, an open URL icon, things like that. Okay, it's up to you. I mean, you can create your own designs. That's one of the good things of Mobincube. What else? I can add the address. Tiny font. Okay, so now I have my view. Okay, simple one, but it's okay. And then the AR view, this is for showing the records over the camera of your phone. Okay, so here you should have like only a small information, because if you create big dialogues, they can overlap. Okay, because if you are pointing to a direction where you have like different restaurants, they always will be open in your screen. So you should like for example, adding only the name in tiny font, for example. Okay, and again, you have to select which field contains the TPS location. Okay, so now we created all our views, and we didn't create links to all of them. So let us create that. We can have a bar. Well, you see that now we are editing a view, and you see that now the fourth tab on the right is enabled. Normally this one is disabled. Now it's enabled. This is for editing some view properties. Okay. Basically, you can add bars to all your views. Remember that you can add bars to any screen in your app. Okay, so you can do the same, but only for views. Okay, you can have a bar for all the maps, for all the data view screen, but then you can have a secondary bar only for certain views. Okay, so you can add bars in the bar manager. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to have a bar, but for all views. So I'm going to use screen properties. So I'm going to add a new bar. I'm going to call it icon, for example. I'm going to put it in the bottom. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to do it quite fast because you already know how to do this. For example, we have let me use 5 icons instead of 4. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to point this to a different screen, a new screen called. You will see later what do I create this menu screen. And then I will add second icon, something the map icon. Normally, if you have different views, it's always good to have an icon bar so that you can switch views. So the second is going to target the map view. And then this one, for example, to access the gallery, go to view, gallery, and then we can have I don't have 2 icons I don't have the augmented reality icon. I'm going to use again this one. And this one to switch to the, I cannot select the AR gallery because the AR view, sorry, because I was editing that view, so I will do it later. Small back. Okay, let me close the bar. I'm going to add another list view. No, sorry, I'm going to clone this one. Okay, so I have another list view. I'm going to rename this one. Wait, I can do it. Search. So I want to have a list of records, but with a search box. Okay, so it's going to be this one. Let me go and edit the bar again. Now I can make this picture target to the AR. And this picture, I'm going to use the search icon. I'm going to point to the, it's not selected. Let me close again. This is a small bug in Mobincube. I have to select a different view because I cannot point to a view that it's being edited. So I have to edit another view, and then I can go back to the bar. Now I guess I can do it. Go to view. No, it's not here, the new view. I guess if something like this happens, you should go back and refresh. Okay, first I can go to another screen and then go back. So it's refreshed. I can now edit the bar. No, this is not the perfect thing to do, but at least you know how to fix it. Now I guess I can use that here. I was looking for at least one, but it's called shirts. Okay, so I have my bar. I have all my views. I'm going to change the name of this screen. I will call it restaurants. Now I'm going to delete this screen. Okay, so now I have my restaurants, and I have all my views created. So the next thing I'm going to do, well, it's in the search list. I'm going to explain how to add a search box. Okay, so it's really easy. You only have to select this view and then go to view properties here, and you see these new icons, the search box. You press it, and then you have to activate the search box. So if it's activated, you first thing, well, if you add a search box, it's only for searching one field. Okay, for example, you can use the field called name, and then you have like three different styles. Okay, you have the style 1, style 2, which you have a green icon. This is style 1. It's been slow, but style 1 is with a gray icon, and the style 2 is with a green icon. Or you can have a custom style. Okay? You can define the color of the search box, the size, or you can change this icon. Okay, it's up to you. And you can also set the position of the search box. You can use it at the bottom or at the top. Okay, let's select style 2. Oh, now I have a search box in this. Okay. Okay, so last thing we are going to do is using filters. Okay, first we are going to use orders. Okay, ordination. If you click here on this AZ icon, you can select the name of the field that you want to use for ordering your database. For example, you can use the name and use ascending, descending, or random. I mean, you can have a list that, for example, every time that you open that screen shows your database but with a new order. Okay, so you can do that. Or, for example, in case, imagine you want to have an app that shows a random sentence every day or every time you open the app. So you can create a detail screen that only shows the field that contains the sentence. So you can have a detail with a random order. So every time you access or refresh that screen, you will see a different sentence. Okay, that's an example. Or in case you use location, it will order your database from the nearest to the farthest. Okay. Okay, now we are going to use names. Okay, so for this screen, we are not going to use any filter, but we have this menu screen. We are going to, okay, so now we have the list of the 6 restaurants. So now we are going to add a menu so that we can select the type of cuisine that we want to show restaurants. Okay, so I'm going to add this option list. And I'm going to use the same bar. And I'm going to add 3 buttons. Okay. First one will say show all. Go to screen restaurants. The second button, I want to show only American restaurants. The third one, like Asia restaurants, and the third one is like Italian restaurants. Or let's say Mediterranean restaurants. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to link them yet. So I want to, every time someone clicks on, for example, American, I only want to show American restaurants. Okay. So now that I have my database screen created with my final style and all the views created, now I can clone it. Okay, I'm going to take restaurants and I'm going to make a copy and I'm going to call it American Restaurants America. So it will make a really similar screen. Well, in fact, it's basically the same screen with all the views. So for this screen called Restaurants America, I'm going to add a filter. You can have like different filters. Okay, this is for in case in this screen I don't want to show all the records in the database. Okay, I only want to use American restaurants. So I'm going to use one filter. If I click on it, then I will have like different conditions for that filter. Okay, because I can have like 2 or 3 filters. So for each item in my database in this screen, it will filter items. So every item has to match all the filters. So if I have 2 filters, then my app will only show records that match filter 1 and filter 2. Okay. But if I want to use a OR condition, I have to do it inside one filter. Okay. Inside one filter, I can have different conditions. So I only need one of these conditions to be matched so that the filter is valid. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to use I'm going to filter by name. And I have 3 operators. I have the include, equal, or starts with. Okay. I could have a filter, for example, and tell my app to show only records that start with an A, for example. Okay. In this case, I'm going to use the filter include, for example, America. Okay. So I can click here on preview. Well, if I click on edit, I will see all the records in my database. Okay. But if I click on preview, I will see only the records that match my filters. And include America. No, sorry, I chose the field called name and I wanted to use the type. Okay. America include. So if I click on preview, I see the list of records that pass the filter. So these are the ones that will be shown in my screen. Okay. So let's do another copy. I'm going to use restaurants Asia. And I'm going to, well, I copied the Restaurants America, which already had the filter. So this copied Restaurants Asia also has the filter. So I have to change the filter. You see the screen, Restaurants Asia. It's for type that includes America. So now I'm going to change. And I'm going to use I have to record some Chinese and Japanese. Both are from Asia, so I'm going to add two conditions. Okay. Okay, so I have these two conditions. Type include Chinese or type include Japan. So I could have more conditions. If I click on preview, you see field type. Some records include Chinese or they include Japan. Okay. And imagine that I have like 100 restaurants and I want to show, for example, restaurants from Asia, but only those who are cheaper than $30. Okay, I could have another field for the price, and I could add a different filter. So I could have, for example, filter 1, China or Japan, and filter 2, price. So first filter is an OR condition, and second filter is an AND. So it will take all Asian restaurants below $30. Okay. And finally, we are going to clone again restaurants Mediterranean. And the same thing. I'm going to include without or include with. Okay, if I click on preview, I have two restaurants. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the menu. If my computer works, I guess it's thinking. Okay, I'm going to the menu. So I'm going to end linking options to screens. Restaurants America, restaurants Asia, restaurants Mediterranean. Okay, this cloning thing, you should only do that when after you have designed all the views. Okay, because now I have different screens for every type of restaurant. So imagine that then after doing all these things, then I realized that I missed something. Then if I need to change something, I should change it in all my screens. So it's really important to be sure that your design is complete before starting cloning. Okay. So yeah, I think our app is pretty done. We are going to publish it. Well, let me remove advertisement. Well, in this account, I have the top pricing plans activated. So remove ads on Android, and yeah, I can use cloud. Let me open it because we will stay there. So okay, I remove advertisement. If you want to remove advertisement in your apps, you know that we launched a new pricing model 2 months ago. So now it's Mobincube. It's really affordable because you can just have for only $9.99 per month. I mean $10 per month. You can have like all applications that you have in a flat rate, and you can remove ads from all of them. So it's only a flat rate for all your apps. Okay, it's really cheap. And also with $9.99, you can use the cloud. So and you can send more push notifications and things like that. Okay. So let me publish the app. I could preview the app, but I prefer to publish it because preview only allows one download. And if I publish it, then you will be able to use your Android device and install it. Okay, well, since most of you are from the United States, I guess you use an iPhone and not an Android. So yeah, while it's been published, it will take like 3 minutes maybe. Yeah, but you're from Mexico, Daniel. But here in San Francisco, everyone has an iPhone. I mean, I guess the thing is changing, and more people is using Android. Also here, that's it's funny how people like iPhones. Okay, so while it's being generated, if you have more questions, I can answer your questions. And after it's generated, I will install it in my Android device, and I will use my webcam in order to share the app with you, explain the results. Yeah, in the meantime, I can also explain the remote database feature. Okay. For example, imagine that you want to have this restaurant's database in your server. Okay. So first thing you have to do is create a new screen, and then create your database in Mobincube, just as we did before, so that you have to define the structure in your database, all the fields you want to use. So data can be empty. I mean, you only need the structure, okay? After doing that, you will need to export and use SQLite and click on export. So you will get this file, restaurants.db. Okay, this is an SQLite file. So you can take this file and store it in your server. Okay. So, or your Dropbox or any other server, I mean, on the internet. And then you can create a new screen. For example, remote database. A new data view screen. Okay, and now, since it's a new screen, I have to select the data source. Okay, I could use a new database. I could use an existing database. Now I have an existing one. I have the restaurant database. Or I could use a remote SQLite database from your server. Okay, so if I had my file, I stored it in my server, then there's a URL that points to that file. Okay, so I just need to enter here the URL. Okay, so if I click on the file and I click on accept, Mobincube will download the file so that it can take the structure. So you will be able to do the same as we did. I mean, you will be able to start creating views or filters or orders, things like that. Okay, so basically this is it. Okay. Well, the thing is that you have to do it this way because you need to use our format. Okay, so that's why you have to create a structure, then export to SQLite, so that you have the real structure of the database. So you have all the fields, one table with all the fields with the same names and things like that. Okay. So in case you have your information in your own database, you have to do this, and then maybe you have to do some scripts to export data from your original database to this new SQLite database. Okay. So basically, this is it with remote databases. We also have the feature to use cloud database. I mean, our cloud. Okay, we will do that after checking the results. I guess it's almost finished. Maybe it takes like one extra minute. We will wait. So in the meantime, if you have more questions, we can answer them. By the way, if you are in San Francisco Bay Area, we are also doing face-to-face workshops Well, next Monday is our next workshop. So if you have friends in San Francisco or surroundings, you can, and they are interested in creating apps with Mobincube, so they can always come to our workshops. Well, the one on Monday will be for basics of Mobincube. So if you are here learning the database, then I guess you don't really need the basics, but you can always come and know me. We will have beer and pizza, so, and it's always good to know other users because you can share experiences. Okay. Okay, it's taking more time than expected. Any questions in the meantime? Well, maybe some of you got slept while I was talking. I know I can be boring sometimes, so even in English, you realize that English is not my mother language, so I cannot really make jokes in English. Well, I guess it's almost time. Well, I guess if you don't have questions, it's because I'm a good teacher. Because in the previous webinar this morning, we had a lot of questions. Well, of course, we had 100 people. But it must be almost. See people from Boston, United States, Mexico, Brazil. It's right. I hope the server is working. Well, the thing is that we are really growing our user base, so now it takes a little bit more to publish an app. We are always trying to improve the performance of Mobincube because during the last 2 months, it has been really annoying, especially in America, because our servers were located in Spain. So the delay was something kind of an issue. But now we are working on bringing servers also to this side of the Atlantic. I think there's a question here. Why it takes too long for the generation of the working version? Well, it depends on how many users are publishing in this moment. Okay, there's a buffer, so I think every minute we launch a new generation. So if there are like 50 users creating apps at this moment and they are all publishing, then the delays can be longer. Understandable in demo mode. Yeah, I think demos can be faster, but it normally takes like 3 or 5 minutes. We did it before in the previous webinar and it took like 5 minutes, but now it's taking longer. I hope it's still working. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to explain how to use databases using the cloud. Okay, that's also really important because, of course, as you do with pictures, that you can have remote pictures or offline pictures, you can have offline databases or online databases. Okay, I already explained how to use online databases in your server, but I guess you know the difference, but let me explain in the meantime. Yes, it will be available, I guess, next week in our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/mobincube. So the thing is that if you have a database that you don't want to update data really often, then you can use an offline database. Okay, so if it's an offline database, it will be stored inside the app so that all the information will be accessed quickly. So your app will have a better user experience. Okay. And then in case you want to use an online database, the good thing of that is that you can always update information in your server, in your database, so that anytime someone runs your app, then new data will be downloaded, so they will always have updated information. Okay, but the bad thing is that the user experience will be slower, and the device will need internet connection. Okay, so if you don't have any internet connection in your device, then you won't be able to download the latest information. Okay, so well, when you generate the app, it makes a copy of it, and so it's cached in your app. Okay, so if there's no internet connection, it always shows the latest information that you downloaded. Okay, I think we are having problems in our server because it normally is faster. So let me, in the meantime, go and explain the cloud databases, because I said before that you can have your database in your server, but in case you don't have a server or you don't know how to handle SQLite files, you can also have remote databases by using our cloud software. Okay. So, for example, I'm going to use this previous. I didn't specify the data source, so I'm going to create a new database. Example with 3 fields: first name and image. I think that I have an image, and then location, for example. But now I want this database not to be offline. I want to store this database in my cloud, in my Mobincube cloud. So I only need to click here. Okay, so now my database is in the cloud. Okay, I have to activate the cloud, by the way. I have to have the standard plan Mobincube, $10 per month, so I can use the cloud for all my apps in the same price. So it's a flat rate again. So if I have the standard, then I can go now to the cloud here. Which one? This one? Or I can here. I can go to info. Oh, I didn't click on accept, by the way. Okay, I click here and then go to my app in the cloud. I created the database, but I didn't click on accept, so it's not created. Yeah, it says there's no database in the cloud, so I have to go again. Here, remote TV is the name of the screen. Now I have to click on cloud, sample, 3 fields again, name, text, image. I'm selecting image so that you can see what happens. And then field, location. So if I press here and accept, now my database will be created in the cloud. Okay. If I see I go here, I refresh this. Oh, my internet connection is not very good. So now I have my database here in the cloud. Okay, so now I can click on it. It's going slow now. Okay, so from here I can add data to my database. I can add a row, for example, name, one image. So the thing is that now my pictures have to be remote pictures as well. So it has to have pictures in my cloud, for example. I can add pictures to my cloud. Remember, I created an image field. It was an offline image, but when I moved my database to the cloud, it turned into remote images. Okay, so I can select this picture. Okay, it has to be a remote picture now. And in location, I can open the Google Maps dialog. There's something else. Should have an icon here. Maybe now if you press here on the right, then you can enter an address. Okay. Okay, so you can add information from your mobile phone. Okay, if you access the cloud from your device, you can always add more records. So my app, I mean, I don't need people to reinstall the app. I mean, all the information will be updated automatically. Okay, so if I go back to Mobincube, now I see here that my database is in the cloud. You see this icon and this text. So if I click on edit here, I'm not able to edit information from Mobincube. Okay, so I have to go to the cloud in case I need to add items to my database. Okay, even this is different. Okay, and now I can export, do things like that. Okay, and I can always move in the other direction. I can have my database in the cloud and then make it offline. Okay, if I go here and then I switch this off, okay, it asks me for confirmation and I can bring it offline. Okay, so now it's an offline database, and now I can edit information from Mobincube and it will be offline. Okay, you can switch to the cloud. So if I go now to the cloud, it shouldn't be here because I moved it to my app. You see, there's no app. Okay, let's see if my app was published. Yeah, it took more than I expected. You can scan this code if you have an Android phone. I'm going to do it in my phone and I'm going to show it using my webcam so we can see the results in that. Okay, so let's scan the code. One moment. Okay. I'm going to paste the URL in case you didn't have time to scan. If you want to download the app, okay, I'm going to install the app in my Right. Let me start my camera. Okay. I guess you will see my webcam. Open. Okay, this is my app. You see, I have the main list, the list view showing all the records in my app. So I can select one restaurant. So I move to the detail view with all the information, the name, very I think the light is really bad. You have the type of restaurant. Then you have the address and the icon, phone number. For example, if I click here, it tries to make a phone call. Remember that we use the name of the field between parentheses, so it takes the number from the database, so it makes a phone call to that number. Then if I click here, I will see the map. Or I didn't select the right side. So I have in the map, I have all my restaurants here. See? Oops. So I can switch and select a different. You see the design that I created. Switch. Or I can, for example, I can go to the gallery here. So I have all the images. And zooming. I can go again to the map. For example, this is important. For example, you select this restaurant. Now this is the selected item in your database. So if you change to if you change in the gallery, you change one picture to another, and then you go to the map. Oh no, it takes always the first one. That's a bug. Or another thing is that I can go to the search list here. So I have my search box with no results because I have to enter some text. For example, I can use, I'm going to enter, for example, BU burger. I click here and I see BU Yuma and I see burger. Okay, so I have two restaurants. I can search. Now I can click on one of them. You see, these are remote images. Okay, and the last thing, well, no, not the last one. I'm going to show you the augmented reality. I'm going to move my camera. So now you see the phone. The augmented reality is for if you move the camera, your phone, you see. Let me get closer to it because I need the GPS. I guess you see. So if you move your camera, you see it. Then some restaurants should appear. Oh, now I have this filter. So no results. So we go. Live demos always. So if I use the augmented reality, now you see that some restaurants will appear. Now I'm pointing to the marina in San Francisco, and here you see the if I point to other places. Well, the thing is that there's another one there. But it's really difficult because you need the GPS, and I'm at home, so I don't see all of them. Like if you go the Eastern Street, you see that it appears to your screen. Okay, that's augmented reality. I'm sorry for this. So the last part is this one. Maybe the link is wrong. I didn't check. Yeah, I think I can use a link. Let me go back. I wanted to show you the filters, but maybe I didn't do something wrong. Or I can use the menu as the first screen. Okay. And now I have to publish again, so maybe it takes too long, but I wanted to show you how you can select one filter and then show only. Well, I can publish it, and if you have questions, I can answer your questions, and in case you are still there when it's published, I will show it to you. Database section, I have to delete that section. Delete this one. Publish. Publish. Okay, now I guess it's going to take another 5 minutes. I hope it's faster than before, but the camera. I forgot to share my desktop. Yeah, I have the same problem. It shows an error if you press that icon. Maybe it didn't store the link or something like that. So I was changing that, so you didn't see my screen because I forgot to share my screen now. But what I did is selecting the menu as the first screen of the app. Okay, I didn't fix the icon in the bar. I should do that, but I wanted to do it faster. So yeah, it's been generated now. So if you have questions, I can answer them. In the meantime, I'm going to check this bar. See what's happening with the icon. It's a screen menu. Then the link is okay. Maybe there's a button over here. Maybe I did something wrong. I should check with my tech team. It's always good to find bugs, so then we can fix them. But anyway, in the new version I just published, you see how the filters work. Okay. Main concepts were presented clearly and thanks, Daniel. Well, I hope you learned a lot in this webinar. I know databases, it's probably the most complicated functionality in Mobincube, but it's really powerful. I mean, you can create things using databases. Because in the past, when we didn't have databases, when you wanted to create an app with showing, for example, 300 restaurants, you had to make 300 different screens, and it was really annoying because then if you wanted to change something, then you had to change 300 screens. So databases are great for creating apps. Okay, so any questions? Thank you, Jose. I didn't realize it was you. Thank you. Yeah, you should play. I mean, even if you attend these webinars, you need to practice. I mean, because Mobincube, I really think it's a powerful software, but it might be tricky when you start because you need to learn things and you have to practice. I mean, you can create great apps. There are some of our users that create great apps, but they do it after practicing. It's not only attending a webinar. I mean, you need to practice. Okay, there are some other tools out there that might be easier to learn because you only need to enter some data. But you know, almost all their apps look the same. And with Mobincube, you can create apps in a really flexible way, so you can customize everything screen. So yeah, it's really cool. Because now I'm not sure if some of you might know of some teachers, but we are looking for teachers that want to teach their students how to create apps. Because we've seen a really high demand in Europe and other countries in America, like Canada or in South America, because teachers find Mobincube a really appropriate tool to teach students because it's not really easy tool, but it's not difficult. So it gives them enough material to have different lessons, you know. Okay, so I'm going to wait until it gets published. And in the meantime, if you have questions, I can answer them. And if you cannot wait until it's published, I really appreciate you were here today. And I hope to see you all in our next webinars. Well, maybe the next one is not interesting for you, but it's going to be for basic concepts of Mobincube. I mean, it's always good to refresh your knowledge, you know. But if you are here attending the database webinar, I guess it's because you already know the basics. But then in 1 month, we will have another webinar. I'm not sure what the subject. Maybe we teach you how to publish your app in different app stores, things like that. I think people is interested in learning that as well. But if you check our YouTube channel, you can see some other webinars we did in the past. Some of them, for example, for creating apps with GPS. We already taught how to use wizards, you know, the new templates of Mobincube. And yeah, I think we taught how to publish apps. And yeah. Okay, so text. Oh, thank you for being here. Yeah, anytime. And again, if any of you want to get more information, you can always send me an email. It's ignacio@mobincube.com. Thank you. I hope to see you creating apps with databases in the near future. Okay, you will find this webinar in here. You go to youtube.com/Mobincube. Then you can go to playlists, and you have here webinars in English, webinars in Spanish, and some tutorials. You can paste the address. Okay, so I guess next week, it depends on our graphic designer, how much time does he need to edit the video. But I guess during next week, it will be published there. I guess we will add a comment in our Twitter channel or our YouTube, Facebook channel. It's always good to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, because we always, when we do something new, we always publish it there. It's not published yet. Bye, Daniel. Taking longer than publish. Well, you can imagine the result. You will have a menu with 4 options. First one Seoul, then American, Asia, and Italian restaurants. So if you press on one of them, you will go to a different screen with the same design, but only with some different filters. So you will only get, corresponding restaurants. Well, I guess it doesn't really make sense to wait. I guess you're tired, you have other things to do, so yeah, people have already left. So I'm not going to wait until, you can try using this URL. If you want to use this URL, maybe in 10 minutes, you can download it in your Android device and you will see the result. Okay, I guess the back, when going to the menu, will be still there. Okay, but yeah, you can try. So I will leave it being published, so you can try in 10 minutes. Okay, so yeah, again, thank you for coming. I really appreciate your time to learn Mobincube, and I'm really thankful for you using Mobincube, and I hope it's really useful for you. So yeah, see you next time, and yeah, nice to have you here. Bye bye.